I'm Chris Hardaway. Welcome to this edition of The Best Times, a series that looks at life after 50. The English novelist George Eliot said, "Animals are such agreeable friends. They ask no questions, they pass no criticisms." That's the underlying concept behind therapy pets, animals that provide comfort and relief to people who need a friend that asks no questions, a friend that gives love unconditionally. Sometimes, life's best medicine doesn't come in a bottle. Today, the residents at Paige Robbins Adult Daycare Center have a very special visitor. Her name is Pearl, and she's one of only a dozen or so therapy llamas in the country.
When the llama comes in, it evokes a memory that they might not have thought about for a long, long time. So that's probably one of the most enjoyable parts to me. It gets individuals thinking about something perhaps they've not thought about in a long time. Give them something very pleasant to think about.
Giving people something pleasant to think about and putting smiles on faces is what Mid-South Therapy Dogs and Friends is all about. This 12-year-old, nonprofit, all-volunteer organization brings animals and their handlers into hospitals, schools, and facilities like Paige Robbins.
Therapy work is based upon the fact that when a therapy animal enters the room, the energy changes. We saw that today. And it doesn't matter if you're old or you're young, they bring a smile to your face, always.
The concept that animals could somehow be furry physicians is a relatively new idea. In 1977, two veterinarians and a psychiatrist formed the Delta Society, now called Pet Partners, based solely on empirical data from observing pet and patient interactions. Their scientific research proved that animals can have identifiable physical and emotional impacts on humans, which produce positive benefits.
The people that interact with animals, it's been shown that their heart rate drops, their blood pressure drops. The animals are just not judgmental at all, and so it's that unconditional love that they provide during their visit that just makes somebody have a smile on their face.
With the ability to lower blood pressure, reduce stress, and stimulate the release of endorphins that make people feel good, therapy animals have established their value with the medical community. In fact, doctors even write prescriptions for them.
We had a dog and handler that over at Transplant, a doctor requested and wrote a prescription to have a therapy dog come visit a 16-year-old girl who was waiting for a transplant. Both of her parents were deceased and she lived with her grandparents. And this handler and dog visited for about 18 months.
In addition to Pearl and a miniature donkey named Nestle, Mid-South Therapy Dogs and Friends has about 45 teams, mostly dogs, that serve a wide range of facilities throughout the area. Animals and their handlers are required to go through a training period lasting an average of 6 months. Basic obedience skills are mandatory, and special emphasis is given to interacting with large groups and dealing with foreign environments, such as hospitals. After training is complete, animals and handlers must pass an evaluation before being certified to work as therapy teams. It's a considerable investment of time and money on the part of the animals and their owners, but the rewards are worth it.
I know of no other organization that meets as many needs with one vehicle as therapy work does with animals. It brings a piece of normal when she walks through the door. I think in a lot of medical situations, that's what we see that is so beneficial. They're in such a sterile environment and they're being poked and prodded all day long, facing challenges I'll never understand. But when I walk through the door with Bear, all of a sudden a piece of normal world has walked in and they forget where they are and they jump down and they throw their arms around her neck, and for a minute they're a normal child back home with their own pet.
I think people love to share their animal. I think they love to give back and to share the joy that their animal has given them, and it just brings smiles to them to be able to walk into a facility like today at Paige Robbins and be able to see the impact that their animal has on people.
The impact of therapy animals at Paige Robbins is so positive that its executive director has a 1-year-old puppy named Daisy in training to become a regular visitor to the center's clients.
When a client becomes anxious or when somebody needs an extra little bit of something that a puzzle or a song just can't convey, that there's something for them to be responsible for, to interact with other than a person. Sometimes they need that break with, and that an animal can provide. Animals are non-judgmental. They don't care if they've told the same story over and over, and so it works well to have a pet here. So we got Daisy just for that purpose, to be able to do that.
It's easy to see the smiles on faces and understand what people get from a visit by the therapy animal. But what about the animals themselves?
I think they sense their need to be useful. I think they know that they're providing something very special. They have a job to do, and it's a very important job. And if it's for them to lie on the bed of somebody that is in hospice, they'll lie there gently. If it's going to a grief camp and with a group of little girls and they're all wound up, then it's playing with a dog with a ball that's got high activity. So they each have a special job to do, and each of them is different.
Anyone who has ever owned a pet of any kind has experienced the invisible bond that exists between animals and humans. Medical science may be able to quantify this interaction by measuring blood pressure and stress levels, but it will never be able to measure the value of the smiles, the memories, and the way soft fur feels on the palm of your hand.
They call them our furry physicians, and it really doesn't matter if it's a llama, a dog, or the miniature donkey. They're all providing a distraction during a really difficult time, times that are filled with sadness and pain, and they just add so much more. And it's that unconditional love, I think, that the animals really provide, and it's what the doctor ordered. And that's sort of why we like our motto of not all medicine comes in a bottle, because as we saw here today, that's exactly what it was.